this 2021, which was very similar to April 2020. The only difference is that here we are more educated about corona, we are more aware. But having said that, we are being even not taking the right kind of preventions and precautions that we should have been taking, and not letting this wave surge the way it is happening today. But having said that, while on one side I'll request all of you to be safe, to take care of yourself, maintain the guidelines, and follow the restrictions and the distance norms. But at the same time, business has to go on as usual. Life has to keep moving. And we do not want to end up being the way the lockdown had affected all the industry, and more so, as Ria had mentioned, our industry, which is a service industry and which is more of a touch and feel industry, other than the medical profession. This is one industry where service provider works very, very closely with the person who's undertaking the service, or the consumer, or the customer, or the guest, whatever you would like to name it. Maintaining this close distance, it's very important to know the do's and don'ts in this tough time. At the same time, as you mentioned, Ria was very kind enough to mention that this is one industry which is dominated by women. So this is one industry that leads to women empowerment, and I think we all should feel proud of it. That at least this is one industry where the threshold is so very low that anyone who would like to start. And on our panel only, I see two young women who started, who are the co-founders. And Aishwarya just been 5 years in her father's company and started her own brand. So it gives me a lot of happiness and pleasure at the same time that this is one industry where your passion becomes your profession. It's hardly few of the industries that you can handpick and count on your fingertips where your passion is equivalent to your profession. Your passion is something else, but you end up doing something else for your profession. So there's always this rift between your heart and your mind, what to do and how to do it. So having said that, I will start off on the topic and have I would like to listen more from our panelists, the distinguished panel that we have. And my first question goes to Mr. Sandeep Bhaiya. Sandeep.
Just before we begin, Monica, just 1 minute. Like I had mentioned that we were supposed to be Rod Anchor, the founder of Rod Anchor Salons, was supposed to join us because of his poor health. Unfortunately, he couldn't. But we have a video message from him. So before we begin, we shall play the message and then we can begin.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi there. I'm sorry I couldn't join you today for the Beauty of Mona's conference. I wanted to share with you some of the insights to what we've done, or how we've managed to get through, cope, and sort of leverage the downtime that we had last year, and how we've got to where we are now. I think social media has played a big part, and for us, we've utilized our website and had a lot of blog activity going on. Last year we saw about probably a 320% increase last year on the previous year with web traffic. And that in itself made a huge difference as far as creating an environment to talk and creating an environment to have that dialogue open between us and the clients. I think that in itself is a huge benefit. Certainly, for us with social media, it's played a big part in the traffic and the bookings that we've had. We have maintained a steady growth from March last year till now. We're about 180% up on web traffic, which is great. Web traffic is fantastic as long as it returns to, or sort of equates to, bookings within the salon, and probably 80 to 90% of our bookings are done via social media, whereas previously a lot of it was done via the phone.
I think some glitch.
I guess I'll take it over.
Yeah, Monica.
There's to be some glitch at the back end. Okay, I would like to open the panel discussion with you, Sandeep, and would like to take your views. As we were discussing, COVID-19 has not only made us all rethink and reinvent the way we've been living our day-to-day life, but also change. There's been a major change in our habits. We've started investing more time on our social well-being, as well as was mentioned by Rod also, that we're spending so much time on social network as well as on spiritual well-being. So both are poles apart if you look at it. So it was a holistic time for a holistic approach also towards life. How do you think this pandemic has affected our day-to-day purchasing habits? And when I talk about purchasing habits, it's not just in terms of we being as a consumer of luxury items, because you take care of Miss India pageants and the other. And this year also the pageant that has happened in February for Miss India 2020 was a very different kind of a format that you had to get going, and we had to adapt to a new normal. So how do you think that this has affected we as consumers? Over to
Sure. See, I think what has happened in the last 1 year and what is continuing to happen, and I don't know how long it will last further, surely another 5-6 months for sure, as we can see it. I think the life as we knew till 2019 was nearly over. And I think last 12 months have been spent by most of us trying to figure out, how to lead this new life, how to adapt to it, how to be comfortable in it, and how to be able to manage the various balance in our life, the work balance, the family balance, the beauty, the fitness, the various interests, in our day-to-day life. I think fundamentally, given all the changes in the lifestyle, with that has come the change in the habits. Now, when the habits change, everything changes. The way we consume food, the way we keep ourselves fit, the way we look at beauty, the way we consume beauty. So I think a lot of change in perspective has happened across levels. I was looking at, the brief for the session, and I think the first point there was, has beauty taken a back seat in COVID-19? And let me begin with there. I don't think beauty has taken a back seat. I think beauty is still in the front seat. I think, but the ride has changed. It's like we were riding a sedan before 2020, and now we are in an SUV. So the mood has changed. The expectation has changed. We're more casual. We're a little bit more sporty, a little bit more adventurous. I think that's being forced upon us. So I think that's what has changed. The definition of beauty, I don't think has changed in the last 1 year. I think that's been evolving over the last 2 decades, and rightly so. From a consumer perspective, again, I think there are more things that we've all learned to do at home, what we call DIY. We had no option but to learn. Men in their own ways, women in their own ways. We got good at that. We got better day on day, and realized, we can do half of the stuff sitting at home. We still miss the me time that we get, when we step out in the salon. Just a couple of hours that we spend there, whether men or women, definitely miss that. What has also changed is, I think with all the Zoom calls, with all the shift in paradigm in the way we work, there's a lot of Zoom DIY. There's a lot of, how do we need to deck ourselves up for a quick meeting in 10 minutes? We can't step out. So I think a lot of learning has happened there. At the same time, when we did step out, before the whole curfew kicked in Bombay, etc., I think people were spending less often outside into a salon, but they were spending more in those visits. So earlier, probably, we would end up going twice a month on an average, and spend hypothetically, let's say 2,000 each visit. Today, because we are afraid, and rightly so, we'll probably step out once a month, but we will undertake 2 services in that one seating, so that we don't have to come again and again. Second, I think from a process perspective, I think, we become more conscious as consumers, as people, of the hygiene around us, surrounding around us. And it's good to see brands adapting to that, being aware about that. So today consumers have become more conscious. 3, also a lot of consciousness on how much time am I spending. So if I have to get something done when I'm outside my comfort zone, outside my home, can that time be shorter now? So earlier we had the luxury of time of being, spending 3 hours at a particular place. Given the scenario now, can we spend 2 hours there and get the same amount of things done? So I think these are some of the fundamental changes that that we are seeing as a business. And I think as a result of which, I think each and every business over the last 1 year has had to relook, review, and reboot. We were fortunately probably the last branded player in the industry. We launched in November 19. So within 4 months of launch, we were hit by the torpedo. And there are pros and cons of that. So since we were young, we were agile. We could afford to relook at, all the aspects of the business from a technological perspective, from a process perspective, from a consumer expectations perspective, from a safety and hygiene perspective, from an employee perspective, and go back on the drawing board and come back with a slightly better model given the scenario.
Absolutely right, Sandeep, and I totally agree with you. Beauty is one industry which is a sunrise industry. I compare it always. There are two industries which are recession proof. I always say that one is beer industry and one is beauty. So both are BD. So beauty has to be always on the forefront. And as you rightly mentioned, it's only that the drive is the same. It's the gears which has changed. And following that, my next question goes to Manisha. Manisha, taking from where Sandeep left, that the drive is the same, but the gears have changed. Maybe the purchase of consumer color cosmetics has taken a dip, whereas do-it-yourself product, investment on good nourishing creams, night creams, and even creams to take care of your UV protection when you're sitting across the screen and with all the Zoom calls and the Skypes and the Google Meets happening throughout. So we've seen that paradigm shift that people, and specifically females, if I have to mention, were investing so much on color cosmetics. They've started investing on getting your more hydration for the skin here and more towards nourishing products rather than just the superficial product. So according to you, how this disruption in the segmentization of the beauty product has altered the consumer habits in the last 1 year? And second part of that question would be, what would be the trend going forward, seeing the current scenario where it seems like, as Sandeep rightly mentioned, another 4-5 months, I would say by the time all of us are vaccinated and the second dose is being given to us, it'll be end of year. So we'll practically be looking at the third quarter of this financial year. So what is the trend going to look like for the rest of this calendar year? Over to you.
Okay, so hi Monica and hi everyone. Sorry, there just been little issues setting up my internet. So coming back to from the pandemic perspective, I personally think that things have changed a lot since then. So whereas Sandeep rightly said that people used to go to salon more oftenly and get the services done, but now you're sitting in front of the camera and people are more worried, just to the, I would say, just the top half of the body. And coming from the skin perspective, yes, people are, people have, I would say, kind of started to accept that raw then, where people would like initially, one is because you're not stepping out into the pollution, and so you need like lesser amount of products. And second is because you're just sitting over the screen and you're not, technically meeting a person physically or stepping out for events. And even if you're doing that, you're covered with mask most of the time. So people have started to go, say lesser makeup and more looking after the skin. And apart from that, because pandemic is a situation where there's a lot of awareness where people have started to look after their health has taken the front seat in the whole run. So when we talk about the health, so they're not only, we see a big shift that people have, a lot of people have started to run, cycle and whatnot, exercise, yoga, meditation, and with that, it's not only the inner health that they're concentrating, but along with that, it's the outer self, which is, as you rightly said, it's about hydration, it's about fixing up, your skin. And that's where, the more the sale that you're seeing is in the retail products. Retail, because, I own 3 companies. Two is our own brands, which is CSOL and Kerosol into skin, makeup and hair. Under the third company, we do the private labeling for the other companies. And for the companies where, the private labeling we are doing for the companies which are sold online. On the retail segment, we see a big shift. Their sales have drastically gone really high because, we see that the consumers, people who used to go to salon earlier, are more comfortable doing their DIYs or even better experimenting at home, people are more still worried. I mean, even in between when the lockdown had opened, people were going to the salon, but as Sandeep rightly said, the 2 visits are being, managed in one. Visits are being reduced. So the sales of the home care products, your self-care products has gone high, and we see a big shift in that, like, because we used to make products both for B2B segment as well as for the, the retail segment as well. So we can see that shift happening. But the second, so sorry, Monica, can you just repeat the second part of the question? Sorry, I just lost that. You were
Second
talking about
question.
the trends. The trends, right?
Yeah. What is the trend going forward? Is it gonna be more of salon services or more of home services or a mix of both? How do you think the rest of this calendar
Yes,
year would look
look
like
like. Yeah.
in terms of
See, I would say this calendar year is, I mean, is not going to be much different from the last year. And then maybe by the third quarter or the fourth quarter, things might start to get a little better for the salon industry, but this year again looks tough because the way the cases are rising right now, I mean, Maharashtra has gone into lockdown from today again, right? And then I live in Gurgaon, and we know that the cases here every other family member, you're hearing about a case. So the way cases are increasing, uh, things look tough for this year from the salon perspective. But yes, if we talk about the retail, because at the end of the day, as a consumer, people who have that habit of maintaining their skin or hair, they will always have that. I mean, you would like to look a certain way. If you're not able to go to a salon, you'll probably try to do your own DIYs up to an extent, or maybe, try your, hands into a new product, or, as I said, like a home care facial kit or a home service for that matter, if you're more worried about going to a salon. So, the trends definitely is, retail is the big one. And coming from the makeup and skincare and hair care perspective, I would say at the moment, hair and skin take a higher this
high?
thing as compared to makeup. Yes, because makeup is somewhere people are just not worried about, because what they say is like most of the face is anyways covered with the mask, or you wear the sunglasses and you just don't need makeup. I mean, even for the weddings, for that perspective, a lot of our clients would say that the amount of people they used to get for party makeups in a wedding, people just don't get it done because they're like, anyways we have to wear a mask. So that way business is getting a hit. I mean, if you're not, if a I mean, apart from the bride, what you get is the party makeup. The more the number is the party makeups, right? But that's not happening. So which means the makeup experts are getting a hit. And from that perspective, even an end consumer is also kind of, controlling their pockets on buying buying the makeup, because that's where you can, people are thinking to kind of save and invest on
Absolutely,
the
Manika.
skincare.
And
Yeah,
I feel somewhere it's even the celebrities which are leading this way forward when
that's
they
true.
are posting
Yeah,
their Instagram lives without makeup and the fresh look, though the fresh look also has the makeup that you and I understand. But then when they're posting that, then it gives everyone enough, I would say, confidence to go practically just with a liner and just a lip balm rather than just
absolutely.
doing layers and layers of makeup. So that yes,
Absolutely.
color cosmetics is seeing a little bit of a dent, whereas the taking care of your skin here is taking
It's
a
taken a priority.
priority.
That's right.
Yeah, and then as you rightly mentioned, the trend is changing from salon services to somewhere of DIY, do it yourself. And as Sandeep was mentioning, Sandeep, we were, I think, fortunate enough to see some really nice haircuts done by all our male clients, and and there have been like nice videos which have come online as well as shared with us. So everyone tried
That's
their
true.
hand on doing DIY, as well as home care services is taking, which had been in existence throughout in our country compared to other nationalities, has taken a front seat also, because you're okay with someone just in exposing yourself to one person versus going out and being exposed to so many people at the same point of time. But having said that, this is what we need to live forward with. And I was just wondering when Manisha, you were answering this, that has Industry Live done this entire webinar and this discussion a month back? that was on 6th of March, the trends would have been what we would have discussed. The trend would have been very different because we were still in a decent enough shape. Vaccine was there, and we were all hopeful that the vaccination drive would take care of India at least. Yeah. And the kind our production is in the vaccination had been like skyrocketing. So we were all in a very safe zone. So here we are living in an environment which is dynamic and is changing on a daily basis. So what we say today, maybe 15 days down the line, the trends would be something very different. So we'll all have to live, as Sandeep had mentioned. We all need to learn, unlearn, and then relearn on a daily basis, even in business. With that, my question goes to Aishwarya. Aishwarya, beauty industry at one point of time, say about 30, 40 years back, was considered as a luxury industry. It was not considered as a necessity. That 2 trips to a salon or 1 trip to a salon was not a must. You only used to visit a salon during your wedding or if there was an important function in the family. From there, and I'm talking about 30, 40 years back. So from there till 2019, where visiting a beauty salon was not just purely from getting yourself groomed. It was more from hygienic perspective. It was more from me time, as Sandeep had also mentioned, because that was the time you would like to spend on yourself. And I've seen even the middle class families, they have started budgeting it that way, that I would spend an X amount of money every month on my salon services. So that trend from being a luxury to a necessity has again taken an overall during COVID. And so has the product industry also, as Manisha was also mentioning. And as you also mentioned, that you could swear by your grandmom's Panchkarma, and then that is what got you interested in this. And there had been a lot of disruption from China and from Korea, who had been the major beauty product providers to our nation. And with our Prime Minister's vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat and vocal for local, gave a big surge and a big platform to all the, I would say, the budding entrepreneurs and the new companies who wanted to venture into beauty industry. So is vocal for local the new way forward for beauty industry? Aishwarya.
What a question to ask, Monica, to someone who is all about going global. But thank you for the question. So to begin with, I think fundamentally beauty as an industry is a very democratic industry. And that is the beauty of the beauty industry, that there's space for everyone, from a housewife to an MNC. You know, everyone is cooking up these amazing beauty secrets, and everyone has some DIY recipes and tips that they swear by. So although all of these brands and companies, obviously they have been scaling up the industry, they have been scaling up the products, but inherently the blessing of COVID time has been that this nature of the industry has got further aggravated, or has actually been brought forth. So rather than people going to salons for just getting their makeup done or getting a fancy hairdo, people are adapting to more natural looks. They are adapting to more, looks that are more at home, where they are more comfortable with themselves. They are adapting to good skincare. So overall, that has been the trend in retail and in salons, the way I have been seeing it. And celebrities, as you rightly said, they are also hosting their Insta lives and everything. So the beauty standards overall, they are becoming more inclusive. They're becoming more accepting. Now you don't have to be dressed a certain way, or you don't have to have your hair a certain way in order to be considered beautiful. I think social media, Instagram, so many brands with their own communications, they have just created this whole tone of acceptance and inclusivity. So people are slowly adapting to more natural ingredients. They are adapting to good skincare. Even in skincare, I think why people would be have been turning to salons, and they have been turning to premium brands, is not just for natural ingredients, but also high performance ingredients, because they want to see that effectiveness. They want to. So when I give you a product and I say that your skin will glow with these natural ingredients, they actually want to see glow. So consumers do want a value for their money as well. And luckily, the entire beauty ecosystem has undergone a change, and it has become so competitive. Especially the local beauty industry, the Indian beauty industry, the manufacturers, the R&Ds, the brands. They have been giving that kind of effectiveness to the consumers. So vocal for local, definitely, because I think India is all set to become a big beauty hub, not just because the market is so accepting and the consumers are willing to experiment with new brands, but also because overall the brands have been creating a far greater value for the customers. They have been putting in that effort. And it's great to see so many new brands that are coming up, the kind of ingredient stories that are playing out, the kind of quality that people are talking about, from clean beauty to organic to high performance to natural to scientific. I think one could not expect this 3 years ago, but today, if you see just the kind of change the industry has undergone, the ecosystem has undergone, I think it's amazing. Just as an example, I mean, when COVID happened, we had no access to vaccination, we had no access to a good sustainable health system, we had no access to good ventilators. And 3 months after, the entire ecosystem thrived with so many, vaccinations underway. Now we have 2 vaccinations that are Indian. And I'm so proud to say that, because, when people used to initially look down at Indian products, but India is a hub of innovation. And we have
See, we are the youngest nation and we are in a demographic dividend. If we do not take advantage of being here at this point of time and utilizing the demographic dividend, then I don't know when will we be. But and as you rightly mentioned, our service providers, Manisha is an example here, are in great demand throughout the globe. But yes, the beauty products, if they also become the talk of the town, wherein the organic products and the natural product is the hero of the story. And
Right.
R&D, I think, is where it's
Uh,
going to play a big role. Sandeep is wanting to come. Sandeep, just before that, Aishwarya, I agree with you everything, but I would like to mention here, though Rod is not here, that you surely need a good hairdresser to have your crowning glory a proper fashion. You can use whatever products you want for a glowing skin. It can manage. You can do your self makeup, but for your hair, you need a good hand. And Manisha agrees with me completely. So
Absolutely.
we cannot
Absolutely.
undermine the value of a good hairdresser.
Hairdresser.
Come what
Yeah.
may, and we need that hairdresser, COVID or no COVID, because we, as you rightly mentioned, we are used to being in a certain fashion. We like our hair in a certain manner, and it needs to be nourished, it needs to be taken care of. Otherwise, we all are a mess. Am I right, Manisha? Over to you, Sandeep. You were wanting to say something.
Yeah, great point, Vaishwarya, and I completely agree. And I thought, I think one of the fundamental changes in this industry has been the definition of beauty itself. I think compared to a couple of decades back when, women used to dress up and make up for somebody else, today they do it for themselves.
Right.
I think that's the tectonic shift. Today, everybody, men, women, they're more confident in their own skins. I am beautiful as I am. I do not go to the salon to get more beautiful. I go to the salon to find a newer side of me. I go to the salon to try a newer trend. I think that's the biggest shift. Earlier, I think, the beauty also was very occasion led. You would go to a salon when you had an occasion to get out or step out, whether it was a wedding or whether it was a party. Now, today, the biggest change has been the biggest occasion in our life is taking a selfie. So there are 6 occasions in a day when we do dress up and deck up for that. So think about that. Now, whether it's a graphic eyeliner or a Neo Geo or a neon eyeliner, we're getting better at applying it ourselves, trying newer stuff. Yes, organic, yes, natural, all that will continue, but they'll keep changing as well. Nothing stays the same. People like trying newer things, and I think those life cycles are getting shorter and shorter.
Absolutely. One last quick question before we open the house for question and answer to each one of the panelists. What, according to you, is the path of recovery for beauty and wellness industry, and how do we get our clients back to our salons? Starting with you, Sandeep, then we'll go to Manisha and then to Aishwarya.
Sure.
What is the
I think till about 15 days back, the customers were already back in the salon. So I think the footfalls were as good as pre-COVID. Because they got the confidence with the kind of precautions being taken there, and also I think hair is something that they can't do at home. In terms of color, whether it's global or touch-ups. Skin, again, wherever it's technically, technological led, can't be done at home. So I think going forward, yes, we all have to be, up there in terms of quality of service that we rendered in a very hygiene environment to the consumers to give them the confidence. It will be a mix of DIY and salon together. I think lips and eyes, the makeup and eye might be more at home. Some of the basics will continue to be at home, again, depending on, how the pandemic pans out further. But all the stuff like hair, like, advanced skincare, I think that will continue to drive people to the salon.
You rightly said, specialized services have to be taken care by a specialist only. So the way, if there's an issue with our body, we go to a specialist. If it's an endocrine problem, we go to an endocrinologist. If it's a gastric problem, we go to a gastrointestinal doctor. Similarly, when there are specialized treatments, whether for skin or hair or even for that matter makeup also, if it's a correction makeup, we'll need to take services from a professional. Manisha, your point of view, what is the path of recovery for beauty and wellness industry, and how do we get salons back to what it was till, let's say, 15 days, as Sandeep also mentioned, till about first fortnight of March, everyone was clocking in good numbers. In fact, the financials also of most of the brands, big brands, have clocked in the number in the last quarter, that's Jan to March, almost equivalent to a 2019. So how do we bring them back now? Manisha, we can't hear you. Manisha, you're not audible. Aishwarya, would you like to take that up? Till the time, I think there's a glitch.
Sure. So I think the best way to solve this problem would be through the perspective of the customer or the consumer themselves. I think that is the right way to approach this problem, because as many problems that you solve for them, that would facilitate those many barriers would drop for them to enter the salon. So if security and safety is the concern, then you organize your appointments and do the schedules in such a way that you attend to only select customers at any given point in the day. The kind of, services, how services are being given, how the professionals, how can they be masked in a much better way in order to avoid the transmission of virus from one person to another. How can the AHU within salons be done up so as to facilitate an antiviral environment. What can be some on-ground medical facilities that can be given to the customers immediately? So there are many things. There are many ways in which this problem can be solved, but it has to be solved for the customer first, because only then. Because the more value you extend to the customer, the more the customer would want to come to you.
Absolutely right, Aishwarya. Keeping that in mind, I think Manisha's back. Manisha, can we have you? If your audio is working. Manisha, is your audio? No, I think she's... Again, okay. Keeping that in mind, in fact, Beauty and Wellness Sector Skill Council, under the aegis of Ministry of Skill Development, had taken out specific guidelines for beauty and wellness industry, and we had certified more than about 170,000 professionals who had undergone the COVID guidelines and how to function in different scenarios, whether it's in a beauty salon, whether it's at-home services, whether it's do-it-yourself. And everywhere there were 4 pillars, out of which consumer was the foremost, as you rightly mentioned, because it's for the consumer, it's for them, for whatever the products we are using is for them, and it's for their requirement as per what they need. Manisha, I can see you now
Yeah, I don't know, some
working.
internet issue happened. Yeah.
Not an issue. So we would like to hear from you, Manisha, the path of recovery for beauty and wellness industry, and how do we get our salon appointment calls ringing, and we telling the client that you will have to be on a wait listing. So how do we go there back?
So, I mean, coming from definitely there's a lot of things needed, I mean, which has already been started right from the pandemic times where people had been maintaining a lot of, I mean, lot of care had been done from the client's perspective because hygiene is definitely one thing. They want to see that everything's been disinfected, they've been taken care. There's been I mean, a decent distance being, maintained between the two clients. I mean, there had been a lot of things being done. But what I personally feel, to bring back a client to a salon, definitely number one is the experience. I mean, no matter what kind of, you might be getting access to the best of the products sitting at home. But in experience is something, as Sandeep mentioned right in the beginning, I mean, there's something called as me time. There's something called as experience, which we all die for. Especially, the kind of the routines we are going through. I mean, life has not become any easy sitting at home. Working from home technically is, I mean, much more difficult than actually going to work because there are no hours. I mean, I hear it from so many corporate people as well that, I mean, technically they are working 24/7, which is again quite a lot stressful at the same time. Even if they have to stay at home, they are working out of their PJs and everything, but still, you want to be stress free. You want to have that time with your own self, and that is where the experience counts in. So experience, I mean, just taking your client, I mean, that they're just coming for a service, definitely, I mean, is not the right approach. I would say if the right experience is provided to a client and you can do something to beautify that experience for that client, there's definitely coming back. And as you said, from the hair perspective, I waited for my hair appointment for 1 year. I did not touch my hair, did not cut my hair, color my hair, nothing. I waited for 1 year to get it done from my hairdresser because I was just not ready to chop it myself or try any DIYs or, just go anywhere for that matter.
It's for that, Manisha, because we all are so careful in selecting our hairdresser. That's the reason it's said that people don't change their barbers and their tailors. Anisha, am I audible? I'm saying people, that's the reason there's a saying, people don't change their barbers and tailors. You follow them wherever they move on. So you will wait for them to be around. So having said that, Ria, I think we are good to go with the question and answer round. If you can be kind enough to get us the questions and please put it to the panelists for whom they are addressed to, and we'll take it up. Thank you so much to each one of you. It was lovely having this discussion with you and learning from each one of you. So
Thank you.
Lovely discussion. Yeah.
Thank you.
So over to you, Ria.
That was a very interesting session, and we heard from all of you, especially the industry experts, so which is a very big thing for us. Let's open the floor for the questions from the audience. Meanwhile, ladies and gentlemen, please don't forget to tag us using our hashtag BWIC2021. I'm just waiting for the questions.
So while the questions are coming in, as Manisha was mentioning, I would like to further re-emphasize our industry was one which didn't cut corners, whether it was in getting PPE gears or reducing the seating capacities to half to maintain the social distancing norms. I think we were the ones which were forefronted and taken care of, that the hygiene aspect, that the sanitary aspect, and making sure that the areas where the client is sitting is sanitized at an hourly time span, and the client is given that experience that they come back. And that's been the reason that we haven't had any cases that, or we've not even heard any news coming on that so and so visited such and such salon and there was a COVID infection which was carried from there. Whereas in our industry, the proximity between the client and the service provider was the least that could have been there, because you can't stand at a 2 feet distance or a 2 meter distance for that matter and chop the client's ear. You can't. You will have to be in very close proximity. And as it said, invention always happens when there's a need. Innovation happens when there's a need. Necessity is the mother of invention. In fact, for that matter, Manisha also had taken out thread lace, which was used for threading. I remember, Manisha, that you had taken it out during COVID. So a lot of innovations happened, a lot of precautions were taken by our industry experts as well as by the brands to make sure that a comfortable environment, which is at least free from any kind of infection, is given to the client so that the clients come back. So that's how, like, when I think the first this thing was lifted, the lockdown was lifted from month of June in Haryana, and the salons in Gurgaon were the first ones to open up. Till in March, till about end of March, when the entire country was open, the salons were open, we were able to get that inflow back in our salons. So over to you, Rhea. Do we have the questions now?
Yes, we do have a few questions. I will begin with the first one. That's, how should small businesses prepare themselves to stay relevant in the new norm?
Sandeep, can we request you to pick that up?
Sure. I think, as Aishwarya said, I think the key there to stay relevant is consumers. As the consumers evolve, the businesses have to anticipate that evolution and stay one step ahead of that. And the same is true not just for things, but even for salon industry. Like I think the last question was, what do we do to get them back? I don't think we'd have to do anything, but give them a good reason to come back. From a services perspective, even, can we innovate better services? We haven't seen too many innovations in the salon if you look at it in the last 10, 15 years. But I think this is the opportunity to actually innovate. I'll give you one example. When we opened back, we realized that people wanted to come for less time. They didn't want to spend too much time. And hair color typically takes about anywhere between 2 to 3 hours. So with our partner, Schwarzkopf, we actually had a technology globally available where the same global hair color could be done in 40 minutes, which wasn't there earlier. So, so it's about, dipping into these kind of global things, innovation, saying, okay, now, is there relevance for them in a market like India now with the changing consumer behavior? So I think, yes, keeping consumer in the center and evolving ahead of them, I think would be the key.
Very well answered. Thank you, Sandeep. Moving on to the next question. This is from Mahima Monga. Her question is, how can a beginner start their career into the beauty and makeup industry in this COVID situation?
Aishwarya, can you take that up?
So the question was, how can a beginner start up in the beauty and makeup industry in the COVID situation? I think the key to starting up in the COVID situation, especially for beauty and makeup, is to get really comfortable with digital platforms, Instagram, Twitter, Zoom. Get really comfortable with these platforms. Get really comfortable with speaking in front of the camera, because this is the new normal, and this is how you would be speaking to or connecting with customers for at least another year or so, positively on the optimistic side. So that's number one. The second thing would be to obviously pick up credible knowledge of these subjects from accredited institutions or masters, and that would really help you disseminate sound knowledge to your clientele and to your students, and give them knowledge that would help them come back to you for more. And Yeah, so good knowledge and comfort with the platform. I think these two would really help you establish connect with more and more people during this COVID situation. It would also definitely help. I during the COVID situation, I have really seen so many small entrepreneurs. Who were like nothing pre-COVID, but just because they were so disciplined and regular about posting on Instagram and about giving out these tips and tricks around, suppose if they were promoting wellness, so they were like really disciplined about putting in these posts and reels and blogs, and that really drove a lot of traffic because suddenly people had a lot of time and they were actually taking out time to scroll through their feed and discover the kind of content that was coming through. So, just being very disciplined about putting your knowledge out, putting your content out, I think that would also pay well for you in the longer run. So, yeah.
Absolutely right, Aishwarya. Just to add to it, Sandeep, I'll come to you also, is that while you are doing that, while you are on these platforms, and since you are a beginner in this industry, do a quick gap study analysis also. Just find out the portfolio that's available in and around you where you want to start up, and do what is the gap between the client need and the existing market, what is it offering. That gap will be an area where you will not have competition A to begin with, rather than competing with the big fours and all of that of the industry. And it will give you a lead to begin with from day one. Having said that, there's always merit to learn from people who've been in that industry. So have a mentor who can handhold you and guide you in your initial years. You will have a lot of learnings just by observing them. It could be someone that you are just following. Just follow them religiously. There'll be a lot of learnings from there since you're a beginner. And we want that you should learn from the mistakes they've made and learn, save on that time. Over to you, Sandeep, to add on to this list.
Yeah, I wanted to say that. I also wanted to go back to the question about vocal for local. See, a vocal for local, for me as a consumer, doesn't mean anything if I'm consuming. Okay, vocal for local means that, okay, it's an opportunity for entrepreneurs where the government gives them an infrastructure ready to set up their business. But at the same time, as Monica said, first thing to do is find a gap that exists in the market. Second thing, create a damn good story that relates to me as a consumer. If I find the story convincing, then it doesn't matter whether it's a local brand or a global brand. The brand has to be good. The story has to be relevant. It has to connect with me as a consumer, and we'll go for it.
Absolutely right. Ria, over to you for the next question.
Thank you everyone for answering that very nicely. The next question we have is from Akshay Pure. He's the director of DINGG Salon and Spa Software. He wants to ask us, what do you all think? How can software play a big role in these current situation and get back the worried customers?
Manisha, over to you, because Manisha has been doing so many lives and she's been getting traffic by hordes. Manisha, over to you. How can a software company or a beauty software can help us bring back our clients? Manisha? I think there's a network issue again at Manisha's end. Sandeep,
let me try to answer that. I don't think we have a beauty software today in the country. We have a logistics software in the beauty industry. Now, whether it's Zenoti, whether it's something else, it helps us logistically. It helps us, as a process to figure out what's happening in a one salon chain or 100 salon chain, how many customers are there. So it's like an end-to-end software. What we really need is an intuitive software that can gauge market trends and tell us that, in 3 months down the line, this is where the consumer behavior will bend towards. Therefore, we as an industry could be ready. So, like in fashion, you have a WGSN. Similarly, in the salon, in the beauty industry, can we have a software which can play a similar role of guiding the industry towards the forthcoming trends?
Absolutely. We need more of an analytical software rather than a management software. So currently what we have is Managed by SMA or manage my salon, which is more, as you rightly mentioned, logistically, which manages the in and out of the appointments. How a client is getting an appointment, with whom are you booking that appointment with, what is the consumer experiential. It's more on that. When we talk about the analysis of that, we need to have an analytical tool, Akshay, to be built in that software, wherein the data is already existing in different softwares across different chains that we have. We need to pick up that data, and as he rightly again mentioned, the way there are fashion demand, there's a color, we already know the spring color for coming 21-22, the autumn colors are already out, but we do not know what kind of eye makeup will be needed or what kind of hair colors are going to be there, though there are brands like L'Oreal, Schwarzkopf, who come out with their own color predictions and their own color style, but that's only taking care of the hair component of the salon. Salon services is again like an end-to-end. We need to look after your home care services. We need to look after your skin, your nails, your makeup, your everything, medical care. It's a complete solution that we need, Akshay. So the ground is, I would say, it's absolutely an ideal time to get into an analytical tool within the software. That's the need of the hour.
Yeah.
Ria, over to you. If we have any more questions, otherwise the time is already.
Yes, we have one last question before we end the session. That is by Sumita Kar. She says, please insist the role of continuous education for hairdressers.
I leave that question open from all the three panelists. Whoever would like to pick that up. Manisha, if your audio is okay, we would like to hear you. The role of continuous education for hairdressers. Otherwise, I'd like to take that up since it's more to do with education, and I'm representing Ministry of Skill Development here, and we are primarily into education. On this platform, I would love to just address all the hairdressers and the professionals who would like to understand how education can also play a role. That currently in the new education policy for schools, our government has added vocational education as a part of education from 6th standard onwards. So if somebody has an interest in here, the house is open for them from 6th standard, though I know that it's not an age for anyone to pick up and decide on their profession. It happens towards when you are at least graduating out from the school. But having said that, that option is given now to the school students also. Otherwise, we used to only find that in developed nations like Japan or Singapore or Germany, where a student used to learn how the hair and skin and makeup needs to be done from the beginning, foundation classes. And then, as Manisha had mentioned, when we go to India Skills and World Skill Competition, it's really amazing for us to see students of 10th standard and 12th standard age between 12 to 18 years of age competing in these skills. Having said that, Beauty and Wellness Sector Skill Council has an advanced education for higher education. So we've got a bachelor in vocational education. Our country looks at education as a very important degree that you possess, whether you have skills or not is a separate issue. So having a graduation degree in your pocket is a must for all of us. Keeping that in mind, UGC under University Grants Commission has given an approval to BVOC, that's Bachelor in Vocational Education, being equivalent to any bachelor's degree or to a BBA. A student of BVOC, that's Bachelor in Vocational Education in Beauty and Wellness, after doing the bachelor's degree of 3 years, can sit down for an MBA in Finance or MBA in Marketing. So it's taken at that level. Having said that, here is something which you need to, the trends keep changing, the color keep changing, the kind of hairstyling, whether it's the top styles that you need or it's the open styling that you need to do. It all is practice and a lot of education. In fact, the topmost hairstylists of the country, if I have to name few, and there are few who will be joining the panel during the day also, Rod was one of them. And then we've got some other very highly well-known celebrity hairdressers in the panel in the evening today as well. So they will also talk about it. Those are also the people who still by today say that they are the students, they keep learning. Every day, whether it's the new styling, whether it's the innovation in the use of the same product, how this product works on your hair, how you can combine different two products and make a better combination out of it, how your hair need to look and what kind of hair strength that you need, and as Manisha had mentioned initially only, what kind of nutrition do you give your body so that your skin and hair are good, are beautiful is important. So there's an advanced field even in dermatology that's called trichology, which is only a science of hair, where you learn only about hair. So having said that, the road is never ending. It's always that you need to be moving on that road of learning. And hair is one which is ever growing, because hair keeps growing. In fact, hair and nail are two body parts, since they are based out of protein, which even grow after we die. So if you leave the dead body for a while, the hair will keep growing and so will the nails be. So look after them very well. And our hairdressers need to look after them equally well.
Thank you, Monica. Okay, quickly, we'll just finish one more question. That is by Shikha Dedia. She's asking us, how will we learn makeup in COVID situation? So she's an aspiring makeup artist and she wants to learn makeup in this COVID situation.
Again, Manisha would have been the right person to answer this, but I think
Unfortunately.
he's facing absolute glitch. Shikha, for that matter, there are a lot of makeup institutes and the institutes who teaches beauty and makeup both, who've started conducting online classes. And there are a lot of tutorials which are online also being conducted by the celebrity makeup artists, Manisha being one of them, and the other makeup artists who are celebrities. They've been conducting tutorials. The makeup brands like MAC, Kryolan, they've been conducting tutorials. And this has been the time that last 1 year where you go, whether on Insta or you go on YouTube, you will find so many do-it-yourself makeup videos, whether it's only taking care of your eyes or on your lips, which are two basic features, at least on an Indian face, we always want to highlight, because we've got Indians by virtue have got beautiful eyes and lips, and we want to highlight that, versus overall makeup versus different looks, as well as taking care of media makeup. Having said that, government also through Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, we run a lot of makeup courses, both under paid courses as well as government funded courses. So you can go on our website www.bwssc.in and you will find the details for all the courses who are our industry partners who are conducting these courses in a paid format, as well as government sponsored courses where these courses are free for the underprivileged section of the society.
So with that, we've come to an end of the session. Thank you, Monica. Like you said, that this is a learning journey. So I think we've learned a lot from this session as well. So thank you for the questions to the audience. Thank you, dear speakers. Thank you, Ms. Behl. It was wonderful hearing you and your viewpoints. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. So with this, we end the session.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Manisha. Thank you, Aishwarya. And thank you, Ria and Industry Live for having us on one platform.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Safe week.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.